On the 1st of August, I am starting a new 8-week speaking course. I would love for you to join the course. Please click and fill out the form in my description below. Thank you so much. Over the coming days, I will be releasing some more information about it. Are you a Billy no mate or a social butterfly? Well, today you're going to be over the moon because you're going to learn some new vocabulary and idioms to help you to talk about friends. Hello there, my name is Harry and welcome back to Learn English with British Harry. How are you? I hope you're well. My name is Harry. I am a British English teacher and a native English speaker. I have taught thousands of students from all around the world. When I am teaching my students, one of the topics that comes up is the topic of friends. So I thought it would be quite interesting to have a look at that topic today. And we're also going to have a look at some differences between beginner and intermediate English. So, for example, an A1 to B1 sentence could be, I like my friend, we go to the cinema. Now, this sentence is quite simple, it's quite basic. To increase the level, you can say, my friend and I often catch up over coffee. So here we're adding an adverb or frequency, we're saying often, and this gives a bit more information, and also using the phrasal verb catch up. So you can see the difference between just saying, I like my friend, we go to the cinema, and then increasing the level, my friend and I often catch up over coffee. And another example is, we could say, he is funny and kind if you are talking about a friend. So it's a nice sentence to use. It gives a lot of description, but you can try to increase the level. So you could say, he's not only funny, but also very kind. It's very common to stick to the past tense, the past simple. So you could say, we met last year, which is good. It gives a lot of information. You know, okay, you met this person last year. Now, to increase the level, you could say, we've been friends since 2019. So here we're using the present perfect. So this is nice because you're giving some nice information to another person. So they know, okay, you met in the past and you are still friends now. If I said we met last year, I don't know if you still meet this person. Are you still friends with this person? So by saying we've been friends since 2010 or 2000, here you can understand if it's a long-term friend or a short-term friend. So we've been friends since last year, so it could be quite recent. So it's quite nice to add the present perfect into your conversation. Don't forget, I've created a fantastic ebook for you. It contains 200 phrasal verbs that you can use in everyday situations. There are 10 categories, and wait, there's a bonus. There's a bonus 1-hour video where I go through the workbook with you. So it's like I am there next to you, helping you to master these phrasal verbs. There are lots of example sentences, pictures, and plenty of quizzes to test yourself. You will find the link to this ebook in my description below, so please check that out. Now, some idioms and expressions. At the beginner level, idioms are rarely used. As you start to progress, it's nice to know what the idioms are and how to use them. Even if you are at a beginner level, it's nice to be aware of some idioms. And like I've always said, when you're learning English, try to make mistakes. Making mistakes is really good. So if you hear of an idiom, just use it, even if it's in the wrong context, because you're going to get some feedback. You're also hearing yourself say the idiom, and it's really good for your brain to think, I'm actually using my mouth to make some sounds. When it comes to adding some descriptions and opinions, you could say, my friend is nice. Now, to increase it, you could say, I really admire how supportive my friend is, if you're talking about why you like your friend. So it just adds a bit more description. You're adding more of your opinion that your friend is supportive. You can even extend it to give examples of how they are supportive. Do they give their time when they are busy, but they still answer your call? They offer support when you are struggling in life, because friendship is really important, not only when things are going well in your life, but also when things are going badly, because you can connect, you can share experiences, you can help each other out. So what is a friend? I think it can be an individual opinion about what a friend is. But in general, a friend can be someone that you spend time with, that you talk to, that you care about deeply. You may not speak to this friend or see this friend often because life gets in the way, but you do think about them, and when you do see them, it doesn't feel awkward to make a conversation. You're able just to talk freely and openly. And when we're children, I think it's much easier to make friends because you play with each other and you see these people in school, in clubs. So it's a lot easier to make friends. But as we get older, I think it's a bit more difficult to make new friends. You can have lots of different activities that you can do with your friends. If it's just chatting, if it's just talking, sharing advice, going to a movie, playing sports. What do you like to do with your friends? So we have different categories. We can have work friends. So these are people that you get on well with at work. So you may talk to each other in between breaks. You may go for lunch with your work friends. For example, you could say she's more of a work friend. We don't really hang out after hours. So for some people, they like to separate work and personal life, although very often your work friends often become your friends outside of work. But some people like to keep a separation, so you just have friends that you have at work. You can have best friends. So this is your closest friend, someone that you trust more than other people. And do you think you can have more than one best friend? I think this is possible. I think having many best friends is possible because it's just people that you can share more openly with, and they can trust you to share things about their life. Now, an example sentence could be, we've been best mates since primary school. We're joined at the hip. So mate is an informal British word for a friend, and we're joined at the hip. So this means to be very close. So a hip is a part of the body connecting your upper body to your lower body. So to be joined at the hip means to be very close friends. Another sentence, my best friend is my wife. We've known each other since 2019. We support each other through everything. So here, the present perfect, we've known each other since. So this is nice to, again, like I said before, to show that this relationship started either some time ago or if it's quite recent and it's still continuing, which is very important. You can have a circle of friends. So this means that it's a group of your regular friends. These are people that you see often or that you talk to. So for example, he's part of my circle of friends from university. Now you might have different circle of friends. You could have a work circle of friends, a gym circle, a childhood circle. So if you think about the shape, a circle. So these are friends that are very close, and sometimes you feel that it's complete. You have enough friends. So sometimes you could be outside the circle of friends and you're trying to get through into the circle of friends. So for some people, their life is very busy. They don't have time to add extra friends to their life because they have a circle of friends. But it's nice to be open, I think, to new people, new experiences. Now, on the opposite spectrum, you have fair weather friends. These are people who are only around when things are going well, but disappear when life gets tough. So when life is going well, these friends are there and are around, but when things are difficult, they disappear. So you have to be a bit cautious of these people because they are not true friends, because they're only there for the good times. An example sentence: he's a bit of a fair weather friend, always there for parties, never for the problems. So this is interesting. So someone that is there for the parties, but never for the problems. Now, you also have to be a bit cautious because you can have emotional vampires as friends. So these will be friends that are always dumping on you emotionally and using you as a therapist to talk about their problems. So you have to have a bit of balance there. Acquaintances. So an acquaintance is someone you know but not very well. You might see them often, like at the gym or at the shop, but you don't share personal things with them. And you can have many acquaintances in your life, people that you see regularly. You may go for a walk and say hello to them and make some small talk, but you don't share personal information. For example, we say hello now and then, but we're just acquaintances. Now, if we look at the word acquaintance, we can break it down as acquaintance. Acquaintance. So I'll give you time to try that word. Acquaintance. Well done. Very good. Now, a bit more modern, we can have online friends. Do you have any online friends? I think it's very easy to make friends online because the friends that you make have things in common, because you would visit, for example, forums, or you would play games or talk on social media. So even if you haven't met in person, you share something in common straight away. If you're playing a video game and it's a game that you like and another person also likes it, there's an instant connection there. And before the internet, you had pen pals. This is where you actually had to write a letter. Did you ever have a pen pal? I think it was quite good because you practiced your writing. But today with the internet, you can still do the same thing and you get an instant reaction. You can get instant communication with other people. For example, I met my online friend in a gaming forum. We've been chatting for years. So here we can see the present perfect continuous. We have been chatting. And we have the contraction of we have to we've. We've been chatting. So this shows that the action started in the past and it's still happening. So we've been chatting for years. Now it's also nice to use modal verbs. For example, a good friend should support you. A good friend should support you. You could also say, you might not see them often, but they still matter. You might not see them often, but they still matter. So using modal verbs is nice to add some variety. And if you're giving your opinion, for example, what is a good friend? Well, a good friend should do this, should do this, should do this. And it's nice to give your opinion in this way because you are also giving your expectations, because a good friend should not lie. A good friend should not just dump all of their emotional problems on you. A good friend should be there for you, and it should work both ways. Now, a nice sentence is, if I didn't have my best friend, I don't know what I'd do. If I didn't have my best friend, I don't know what I'd do. So here we have the second conditional, and it's used to talk about imaginary or unlikely situations. So this can be in the present or the future. So we have if plus past simple would plus the base verb. For example, if I won the lottery, I would travel the world. If I won the lottery, I would travel the world. If she were here, she'd know what to say. If she were here, she'd know what to say. So in this case, if I didn't have my best friend, I don't know what I'd do. So this is, we're talking about an imaginary situation because you do have your best friend there. So it's just nice to add a little bit of grammar in real life situations. So today we've looked at the concept of friends, work friends, best friends, a circle of friends, fair weather friends, acquaintances, and online friends. And before I forget, at the beginning of the lesson, I talked about the phrase Billy no mates. Now this is a very informal phrase. It's a very British phrase to say that someone doesn't have any friends. So I wouldn't use it in a professional setting as it's very informal. I would only use it with other friends. And a social butterfly, this is someone that likes to interact with people. They like parties, they like being around other people. They're an extrovert. So today we've had a look at quite some interesting vocabulary, and I've given you some nice sentences there. So I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. Let me know what you thought of the lesson below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson. Thank you and bye-bye.